Guess what, guys? Every single video you have been like, I don't watch that show, I only watch Sister Wives. It's back. So they had I didn't know it was coming, they have a sneak peek of season 13. So I thought we would go ahead and recap it.
The police are called.
Well, let's start at the beginning.
Robin
so they start
leaves.
all the way at
Meri
the beginning.
leaves. All the wives leave.
Stop it. They start at the very beginning, which was Utah. Like, this is my wife. And he like Meri, when they were still,
pretending.
So they start with that, then they show them leaving Utah, then going to Vegas. And just today, when I saw this recorded, I was talking to John, and I was like, and I said in the car, I'm like, yeah, I guess they kind of had to move because they had to have a reason to consider to continue the show. So I guess it makes sense. I forgot how stupid this move is. I forgot how infuriating the move is. I forgot the fact that they finally were kind of semi-stable and they moved without having those houses sold.
Because who needs money?
They didn't have a place for them to live. I forgot that they got Janelle like a super small house and Robin's renting like a mansion. I forgot that they had no money. I forgot, like within like 10 minutes of watching this, I was like, oh yeah, this is the dumbest move on earth. I had totally forgotten. Another thing, so the show picks up like the second the last season ended. So if you're someone who can stand to rewatch the season, you could probably watch the season finale and then watch this. And I think they almost, like they said, the episode starts with them talking about like, we moved last night. Like we arrived in Flagstaff. They have a new title sequence, which we've been saying needs to happen for a while, because the old one where they're like, we just feel like we were always meant to be together. Love should multiply, not divide. We're like, this is not their feelings. They got a new title sequence, a new opening sequence, which is...
straight from the 80s.
No, to me, it's exactly what you would picture if they were all killed in a car crash. And this was their memorial. Like, no words.
As if they could all fit in a car.
Oh, but they had a picture and then no words, like Janelle. And then Meri. John.
And then... Don't
make jokes about weight.
I haven't said anything yet.
John.
Like how Robin is twice the woman she used to be.
Don't make jokes about weight, because there are so many terrible things to do, and the fact that they've gained or lost weight has nothing to do with the fact that they're making the world's worst financial decisions, okay? So, so they show up, they're unpacking at Janelle's, it's too muddy. I've forgotten how upset Gabe was.
Poor kids.
I feel so bad for them because they are being moved for no good reason, and they show Robin going, Vegas has really changed in the years we've been there. What are you talking about?
Drugs, sex, alcohol
has always
still
had
there.
Now, admittedly, they do talk about while they were there, they did have that shooting at the country western thing, which I admit was a pretty horrific event, but I don't for a second believe that that's really why they moved, because Cody moves all the time. So it's not like he says, oh, he moves like every 3 years and always has. And they're like, oh, well, that's just Cody. And it's like, but they financially cannot afford to. And like, there's a clip in the previews where he goes, well, if these houses don't sell till spring, we can't afford it. And it's like, you have to take that, you have to understand that is a big risk. And they didn't. I think they didn't sell in the spring, as I heard reports. Although I try not to learn what's really happening because it gets too confusing to go back. Okay, this was filmed in August, but it wasn't August like...
But mainly we don't care.
Mainly we don't... Well, mainly it's too much. I don't have time for this. I watch the show and we go off of that. So they said the neighbors aren't happy, so... So it's kind of weird because they kind of do like a here's what's coming and then they do it again. So my notes are kind of out of order. But Janelle's going back every weekend to try to sell it. Financially, they can't afford not to sell it, but he's pushing.
Because who doesn't want a private cul-de-sac with 5 houses?
Well, no.
However many.
4 houses, but it's
cares?
But it's just a matter of it's in the suburbs of Vegas, and you just can't get. My guess is, when you build a house, it's a really great deal for the builders. It usually does not work out particularly well for the owners unless they live in it long enough to, just the same way that if you are paying a mortgage off, you are mostly paying off interest, and then, you know, it just doesn't work really well. He's really pushing for this big house, and I know the wives are thinking, you know, in even a few years, it's going to be just them rolling around their house. And I think maybe some of them are kind of looking at Meri all on her own and thinking, well, it doesn't look like the worst deal. But it's also, they're all crying and weeping. They're going to have all these great arguments for why it's a bad idea, and then Cody's going to get his way because he always gets his way. And it's infuriating. But it'll make for whatever. They're going to drag this out as long as they can continue to get TLC to do it.
Because what other money do they have coming in? I mean,
nothing. Nothing, I'm sure. I don't for a second believe. So Meri, so it cuts off right at where Meri, they go to Meri's house. We don't even see them unload it. We don't even really see the house. All we hear is that after they left, someone called the cops. Now, I'm of two minds of this. Realistically, did they call the cops because they were polygamous, which is what they're implying? Could be. We certainly know in America that people call the cops on people for things like walking around their own neighborhood. Usually tends to not be white women.
Being black in public.
Yeah, I mean, we know that there's a really big problem with people calling the police for no reason. So on one hand, it's totally likely that they called them because they're polygamous. On the other hand, there could be a lot of stuff going on that had nothing to do with it.
Like, hey, we run a meth house. We don't want the attention.
I mean, well, no, I was thinking more like the kids could be running around in the streets. You know, they arrived with 16
Cody's
cars.
in a Speedo. I'd call the police on that.
Oh, let me get to that. That's a separate thing. It could be that, you know, they always show it like it's just them, but we know there's a whole huge camera crew and a sound crew and someone who's organizing stuff. And so it very well could be that someone parked in front of their house, blocked their driveway, were being a nuisance, you know, maybe they had questions about, like, they're filming the neighborhood and people are saying, I don't want you filming my house. I don't want, so I'm of two minds. Could it possibly be that they just had the police called them because they were polygamous? It actually is possible. Could it be that they called them for other reasons and then they're really unhappy that we're polygamous? And you go, yeah, but you're not just polygamous. You're not just a random family that moved in.
You're super annoying.
Well, they're a family of 30. So how would you feel if your next door neighbor on a cul-de-sac suddenly had 30 people there running around, 15 cars? I mean, how would you feel?
Loose the hounds!
Well, I mean, yeah, like if you think about when we lived in California, if our neighbor had like 5 cars, and it was kind of an eyesore, and we never, to be clear, we never called the police.
Because
we never complained because it's their property.
They didn't park on my land.
But my point is, we noticed it. Now multiply that by 5.
And then somebody died in their car there, and then.
Well, that was a whole separate thing. But yeah. That was an older gentleman passed away. Probably in a car he loves, so I guess there's nothing more you could do. But anyway, maybe it was that. And then people are like, oh, they don't like us because we're polygamous. But you're not just any polygamist, you're TV polygamous.
We saw polygamous houses.
When we were looking at houses. We actually saw polygamous last week.
Apparently you just locked the extra wives in the basement.
Well, but anyway, so we'll have to, but this is all apparently stuff that we're going to see in the season, so I guess there's no point in getting too far ahead. We did see them jumping into the pond, and we saw him in his tidy black little underwear. They're just like tidy whities. They kind of blurred it out, but they tried to make it not too obvious.
Thank you for something.
Which makes me wonder, like, I can imagine the editor going, zoom in, zoom in. Do you think we can show that? Should we zoom? Because I'm like, it's just a weird thing that for all of their, like, modest is hottest to have Cody out there jumping around in his black underwear.
Well, he's got to get another wife somehow.
So anyway, that's about all we saw. It'll be an interesting season. I'm already siding with the people, the whole, like, we don't want you here, because the thing is, it's not, like I said, it's not just that, maybe they are just bigoted. I don't really care. This is very much our business, which is like live and let live, whatever. But having a reality show move to a semi-small town and having them spread all out and know they're going to be filming in your neighborhood would be a little bit concerning. especially if you know that, film crews are not small. We worked on a reality show that had the smallest possible crew, and it was still like 15 people.
Don't even.
But I'm saying most crews are like twice that. Like if you ever see a reality show like Marriage Boot Camp where they do behind this, they have an enormous crew. So everywhere they go, it's like your neighbor having a block party or having like the biggest party you could imagine. Maybe not with the music, but in terms of the cars, but having it happen a couple times a week. I don't know. I don't really know their schedule, so it'll be interesting to see. But that means we're back. Okay, we look forward to seeing you.